Right, so for so long the Green Party has been regarded as something of a sideshow in politics. The same class that swore Britain would never change and has moved heaven and earth to make sure that it doesn't is now watching it happen in real time, though. And it's not from a protest camp or a think tank, but in the polls. And no doubt soon enough from the ballot box too, I'm sure. Because 7 weeks after Zack Polanski took over as Green Party leader, the Greens are polling ahead of Labour and the Conservatives now for the first time in history. Members have passed 150,000. Among the under 50s, they lead outright. And the people who built their careers managing decline are suddenly talking about statistical anomalies happening here. But this isn't an anomaly at all. It's the proof that the managed order is losing control at last. And they know it. Right, so a national survey has just put the Green Party ahead of both Labour and the Conservatives for the first time ever. This is landslide stuff. This is big news. The poll from Find Out Now has put the Greens on 17%, ahead of both Tories and Labour on 16%, and the Lib Dems back on 12%. Reform UK, sadly, still benefiting from their head start in these things, are on 32%. Amongst under 50s, though, showing where the Reform base is concentrated, further polling has shown that the Greens now very much lead. Membership has passed 150,000 and shows no signs of slowing either. So what followed Palansky's election, which is ramping up today certainly in light of that incredible poll, and not just Palansky of course, his leadership team of Martin and Rachel Millward as well, the first time they've ever topped the Tories and Labour in a poll, was the sound of a political class trying to smother a fire they haven't got the tools to tackle anymore. You can see the panic in how fast the spin has begun. Within hours of that poll showing the Greens ahead, Labour and Conservative sources were downplaying it as just one poll, a line repeated across the usual media outlets, and sure, it absolutely is. But they were still talking about it, though. The numbers were solid enough to rattle them. Zack Polanski didn't come out of nowhere, did he? He was already a politician on the London Assembly. He won the Green leadership on the 2nd of September and has turned a statistical movement into a national force in weeks, coming from a relatively unknown position at that. But what he's done has been nothing short of incredible. He's fluent across every medium that he's gone on: broadcast, long form, short form, independent channels. More than 60 interviews in his first few days as leader, direct outreach instead of waiting for legacy media to get round to notice him, avoiding him like the plague as they were, Laura Koonsberg running away from interviewing him, Question Time having the screws put on them to get him on. And he talks in plain language: climate policy tied to wages and rent and bills and more. That's what people are hearing, the connection between the cost of living and who's profiting from their misery. Policy is what's driving the numbers. It's not all about Palansky, it's what he's saying too. The Greens' economic plan is concrete and it's fair. Tax the rich properly. Stop the Bank of England paying billions in interest to commercial banks just for holding reserves. Use that money for public services instead. Bring water, energy and transport back under public control, because privatisation has meant higher wages, failing networks and sewage in rivers. Tie climate investment to warm homes and local jobs. Every part of that answers failures the main parties have been calling inevitable, because donors and influence are really running the country behind the scenes. And the polling backs it. YouGov shows clear majorities for taxing wealth and deep frustration with broken public services. The Greens are built directly on that reality. They aren't selling a dream, they're describing what people can already see. Private monopolies extract, governments enable, the public pays more for less. Foreign policy is where the difference becomes moral. Back in June, the Greens said the Labour government was not just complicit in the Gaza genocide, but active participants. And this has certainly been backed up by Francesca Albanese's recent report. And they demanded an end to UK arms exports to Israel. The wording is blunt, it's lawful, specific. No other parliamentary party uses language that direct, speaking in plain English, not sound bites and diktat. Labour avoids doing that. The Conservatives ignore it. The Liberal Democrats blur it all into nothingness. But the Greens have made it a principle. British law should apply even when our allies break it. It shouldn't even be a radical thing to say. It's just upholding international law we're all signed up to, after all. You put all the policies together, though, and you get a picture. Tax wealth, rebuild public ownership, enforce international law. It's all the basics of what counts as a functioning democracy, isn't it? It's not asking a lot, yet it seems to be asking for the earth. In Britain in 2025, saying that out loud, though, is treated as insurgency, which kind of underlines that point. The under 50s numbers explain the speed of the shift. This generation has lived through stagnation, wages frozen, rents tripled, services gutted, tuition debt sold, and housing turned into speculation on objects they can never dream of owning themselves. They've been told all of this collapse is normal, though, that the NHS crisis and Gaza and sewage-filled rivers are all unfortunate, but unavoidable. It never sounded true, because it never has been. Fifth wealthiest economy on earth, or sixth wealthiest, depending on what time of day it is, yet poor nations have all got this themselves. They're not in the same boat on all these issues, so why don't we? The Greens are the first national party describing it as deliberate policy and not fate. And that's why their message is hitting now. It's why it's landing. Labour's reaction shows how deep the denial runs. Starmer's team rule out a wealth tax, defend private control of utilities, copy right-wing rhetoric on immigration and refuse to challenge Israel's actions. Councillors who joined Labour for moral reasons are leaving because there's nothing left to defend. Al-Maghrabi's switch was just the latest headline case. Others have gone too. The Greens also aren't rising because someone else fell apart. Your party right now just seems hell-bent on destroying itself. Its founders are in legal dispute over membership funds. Zara Sultana has seemingly been attacking the Greens more than anyone else of late, which I just don't understand. To the public as well, it looks horrible, I'm sure, like a party fighting with itself and fighting while the Greens concentrate on getting organised. People who want change are choosing competence over chaos, and as a Green I find this incredibly maddening behaviour. Because Palansky set out the case for the benefits of there being two left-wing parties. Yet it doesn't seem your party are on the same page as that. Many of us on both sides of that argument, backing both parties, wanted to see both of these parties work together for the greater good. But right now it's a debate as to whether your party can even hold itself together. Media behaviour exposes how the establishment polices visibility, though, and this is where the establishment can always rely on their pliant-client media to help them out a bit, isn't it? There were more than 25,000 complaints after the BBC refused to host Palansky on its flagship Sunday morning programme hosted by Laura Koonsberg, even during Green Party conference while platforming Reform UK. When the BBC finally did get Palansky on, Koonsberg still ran away. She left it for Victoria Derbyshire to take the hot seat that day and conduct the interview. That's not editorial judgment, that's gatekeeping. The pattern is decades old. Ignore, then belittle, then smear. This doesn't work anymore. Palansky's own clips reach hundreds of thousands online. Independent outlets, podcasts and social feeds carry the message the broadcasters keep trying to block. The institution that once decided who was serious has lost that power. And beneath all of this control, who holds it and who doesn't? Britain's economy is managed for creditors, not communities. Fiscal rules are written to keep markets calm, not homes heated. Foreign policy is written to please allies, even when those allies blatantly break international law. At home, what the public once owned, water, energy and transport, has been stripped for profit. Regulators look the other way or are too toothless to act while bills rise and infrastructure rots. The Greens are saying enough. Take back what was sold. Stop pumping public money into private finance. Apply the same laws abroad that we claim to live by here. So in that way, it really isn't radical. It's just a reset. The system can't argue with that directly, so it hides behind the usual routines. Stage one, of course, being denial. Just one poll. It's just one poll. It could be an outlier. It's just nothing to see here. Stage two, dismissal. Oh, it'll never turn into seats. They won't win seats. Stage three, mockery. They're idealists. They're populists. They're single issue. He's got crooked teeth, for heaven's sake. How can you possibly vote for him? But it's the same pattern used against every threat to the status quo. The names change, but the script doesn't. And we should all be in on it by now, shouldn't we? We're all tired of it, aren't we? Mockery stops working when the numbers keep rising. Panic is showing in every language. Every establishment statement now carrying inferences of the need for stability. That's the new word, isn't it? Stability. But stability for whom? For those who own assets, not those who pay rent. For dividends, not wages. We've a budget coming up, and instead of talk of wealth taxes, we're hearing talk of income tax rises again instead. Case in point, and we know who Labour serves, don't we? The Greens are challenging that order directly. They're saying Britain's wealth should work for its people. That's the sentence Westminster can't repeat without choking on it. First past the post still blocks national breakthrough by and large. There was Reform UK approving. It's not insurmountable, just difficult without the over-platforming they benefit from. The 17% of the vote in that latest poll for the Greens, though, shows the Greens moving from 4 seats to 51, though. Still a hell of a result, but the Greens are still surging too. Those poll numbers will go higher, I'm sure. Public opinion already aligns with green economics. YouGov data shows majorities for wealth tax and disgust at the decay of public services. Another survey finds people unwilling to pay higher taxes into a system that wastes what it takes. The Greens' answer, that the issue is ownership and not spending, fits what people see every day. They understand the maths. It's not hard. It's the politicians who pretend not to get it. Foreign policy remains the hardest line. Britain continues to license arms exports to Israel, even after the International Court of Justice found plausible grounds for genocide. The Greens demand an end to those licenses. That's a legal position under the Arms Trade Treaty, not a slogan. But they're the only major party saying it outright. For the public watching Gaza in real time, it's the only position that matches what they can see. Every other party's talk of balance and restraint reads as complicity dressed up as diplomacy, and nothing ends up getting done. Nothing actually changes. And this is what frightens the establishment so much. The Greens are using moral language in a political culture that banned it. They talk about right and wrong, not just cost and benefit. When a movement links economic fairness with law and justice, it stops playing Westminster's game. That's why the attacks have increased and will increase further, I've got no doubt about it, because they threaten to make decency sound normal again. The media are just waiting for a stumble, though. Green unity has been exemplary throughout, and we need to keep that. Local government will expose the difference between ideals and delivery. The Greens are already showing some of that, but I'm anticipating great things in the May local elections too, so the test will continue to follow from there. If they maintain that unity and their momentum, the Greens can turn this surge into permanence. If they lose it, the establishment will declare moral politics impossible all over again. So there are important lessons to draw from this, and warnings too. The real stakes go beyond one party. But if this surge holds, Britain's managed political order is in danger, and I'm all here for that. The two-party rotation that markets itself as stability, already facing a routing at the hands of the far right, but that's no longer a seeming certainty either now. They, along with the rancid Reform UK, could face a permanent alternative with mass membership and clear ethics and real policies for real change. History shows the pattern here. When Labour first broke through a century ago, elites called it chaos then too. Then Labour built the institutions that defined modern Britain, such as the NHS, when it was a party still worth something. The same establishment language is being used now against the Greens, the same fear disguised as laughter. But this time the information gap is gone. People see the change before mainstream editors can decide whether it really exists. Palansky's rise is played out online in real time. Bigger audiences for a party political broadcast than most television shows get is crazy. But that's what he's already achieved. That shows the appetite for change in the UK. Parties talk of change all the time. They know it is what we want. They just repeatedly refuse to keep their word on it. People don't see that in Palansky's Greens, and that's what the numbers are showing. So here's what's verifiable right now. Membership above 150,000, polling second nationally, albeit thus far just one poll. First among under 50s, councillor defection shifting control in key cities, and just the latest in a string of them. A policy set built on wealth tax and public ownership and legal consistency, all tied to the party's founding ethos on climate and environmentalism. No speculation required. These are the facts on the record. A party that combines moral clarity with competence has entered a system built to prevent both. And it's kicking their backsides, and the establishment is running, screaming, tearing their hair out. So every smear, every exclusion, every sneer is proof of what the establishment fears. Britain's rulers are learning what happens when people stop confusing power with merit and start counting outcomes instead. For decades, decisions have been made elsewhere. Not at the ballot box based on manifesto pledges, but in boardrooms and in markets, in meetings with donors behind closed doors, or at fancy swanky dinners, in ministries built to manage decline. The Greens are challenging that. They're saying control belongs where the consequences land, where they're felt, amongst ordinary people, the likes of you and I. The media will still call that chaos, but it's not. It's just accountability. It's not just the Labour Tory uni party having a grievance against the Greens, though, of course. Palansky has taken the fight to reform too, who, just like the establishment patsies they are, tried on a tabloid smear against Palansky too, and as so often happens amongst the knuckle-dragging hard of thinking, they tripped over their own fingers and fell flat on their faces over it. So do check out all the details of that story in this video recommendation here as your suggested next watch. Please do also hit like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so already, so as to ensure you don't miss out on all new daily content, as well as spreading the word and helping to support the channel at the same time, which is very much appreciated. Holding power to account for ordinary working class people. I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.